Okay, well, hopefully this preamble of me setting up and then putting it in position doesn't get too old, but you know, put up with it. There we go. So I've reached the halfway point on the pleats. That is the middle back pleat. And as I've said elsewhere, I consider it extremely important to have an odd number of pleats, so we have a center back pleat. If we're pleating to the set, it's absolutely essential, because whatever that main element of the tartan is that you've selected, if the red line is the center of your front apron, then the red line has to be the center in the back. It's a book match, or not quite a book match. It should mirror front and back. It's less important. I could argue that it's less important when pleating to the stripe, but I at least can spot the detail if there isn't a center back pleat. The eye appreciates spacing and symmetry, and any slight deviation from that, it'll catch enough people's eyes that we should make that effort. So there's the center pleat. I've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So that's 22, plus that is going to be 23. Now I get to this point, I stop, I mark the strap line 2.5 inches down with my chalk. But incidentally, I'm just going to grab the tool and show you. I'm not going to sharpen my chalk here because I don't want to get chalk shavings, the wax shavings all over the kilt. But what I have is an edge plane. It's a Veritas made by Lee Valley, copy of an old Stanley plane. And I got it because it's just so damn cool. But then I quickly was reminded that there's almost no right angles in boat building. So I didn't use it for that. I use it to keep my chalk sharp. I just pass a couple of times on the blade, and it's a handy little thing. So I'd sharpened my chalk. I'd marked the, I know where that is. I hardly have to mark it, but I will anyway. I'd marked the belt line, and now I don't look at my measurements. I measure it first and then check the measurements afterwards, because I want to avoid confirmation bias. I start in the middle, wrong, there, in the middle of that pleat, and using the technique that I mention in my video entitled "Will That eBay Kilt Fit You?" I'll try to remember to include it in the comments, in the text. I follow the radius of that line around. Now I am nine and a quarter. So if I continue with this spacing, it's going to be 18 and a half. I look at my measurement, it's supposed to be 18. So I've got a tiny bit over here, but half an inch over 12 pleats, or 11 and a half pleats. I think we can let that go. What I am going to do as I continue from here for the next 12 pleats is I'm going to tighten it up. See, this is bang on 3/4, but I think I'm going to deduct maybe a 1/16 of an inch as I carry on this way. And I can do that with a clear conscience. But having said that, if I get to my 23rd pleat and then stand up and look at it from this amount of perspective, the same perspective as you see in the camera right now, if it is visually larger, I'm going to have a little heart-to-heart with myself about whether I'm going to unpick the whole mess and start it over again. I could argue that when someone's wearing the kilt, you're not going to see, because it's radiused around the body, you're not going to see this side as you see at the same time as you see this side. You only see when it's laying flat. So there's a bit of a trial for your conscience, whether you're going to let that get away or not. But if I stand up and I look down when the kilt's laying flat and it's visibly different, yeah, I'm never going to pass or fail. I'm going to unpick the whole thing and start over. But in the meantime, I've reached the halfway point. I'm barely, let's do it again. Yeah, I'm a quarter, I am a quarter inch out over 12 pleats, 11 and a half pleats. So I feel pretty clear, okay about that. Pretty okay, yeah. I'm going to do the same measurement at the hip. Stretch it out a bit because it's going to be under tension on the bod. We have 22 and a half, or sorry, yeah, 11 and a half. It's going to be a little bit short of 23 because this measurement completed is going to be 23 inches. So the reverse, I'm going to give a little bit more ease. I've been over by a 1/16 of an inch. I think I'm going to, for the remainder of the pleats, I'm going to add another 1/16 of an inch at each so that my finished measurements at the hip are 23. There's a little wiggle room there, of course, because we do have that fringe on the edge of the outside apron, and that can be up to 1.5 inches deep, right? So we have that little bit of forgiveness there. Although on the other side of the coin, we have to remember that when we sew in the steeking, okay, yeah, see, 22, 23, I think I'm actually all right. I think, okay, I changed my mind. I'll carry on what I'm doing with that spacing, and I can do that quite easily as I do pleats. I can just go back and check to see how uniform it is as I carry on. So there we go. Quality check at the waist. Minor amount of error, which I think we can live with. Quality check at the hip. And I think we're all right. Okay, cool. I'm going to put my sheet away. And also notice I took a bit of cotton basting thread and I just made a little X there just to point out that that is the middle pleat. If for no other reason, that it improves my morale a little bit as I'm sewing. I can tell at a glance as you know, I add on the pleats that I am actually making progress away from the center line. So yeah, let's carry on from there. This is good. On the other side, the weather's gotten a good deal nicer since I sat down this morning at, I think it was 7 o'clock. It's 1:30 now, it's 13:30 now, so I've been at it for about 6 hours. I've been having giving myself little breaks. Yeah, okay. Again, just going to narrow that ever so slightly. Again, if the waist comes in under, we want 18 inches. If it comes in under 18 inches, that's all well and good, because that means I get to make the front apron wider at the hip. And again, from my army kilt making background, I want a larger rather than a smaller front apron. Well, both aprons actually, when you think about it. And with luck, my photographer's up and about, so I'll ask him in a little while if he'll do, because you've had many requests to see a close-up of the stitching as I sew the seams. So with any luck, I'll be able to talk him into holding the camera for however long it takes to do that. So there we go. I'm going to carry on and get back to it. Cheers for now.